The orca moves in silently, then erupts into action the moment its target reveals a brief opening. Even other predators may be chased away if they enter the pod's zone of control. Every coordinated movement reveals a level of hunting intelligence, far beyond raw strength alone. When the ocean belongs to the orca, how many choices does the target truly have left? The orca is the largest member of the dolphin family, reaching about 30 feet in length and carrying the presence of a ruler of the seas. They move in tightly bonded groups, where no individual acts alone, but instead becomes part of a precise and unified strategy. Through vocal communication, strong memory, and coordinated teamwork, the orca rises to the top of the hunting hierarchy. Across cold and temperate oceans, it stands as one of the clearest expressions of the power of collective strength. Gray whales are among the most enduring travelers of the ocean. Each migration season, mothers guide their calves across journeys spanning thousands of miles, leaving coastal breeding grounds for colder, food-rich waters. With adults weighing around 90,000 pounds, they appear like living walls against the open sea. Yet along this route, what draws the attention of predators is not the full-grown whale, but the calf that must stay close to its mother with every stroke and every breath at the surface. Along the coasts of the Pacific Northwest, groups of orcas closely observe these mother-calf pairs as they pass through deep waters or vulnerable transition zones. Each individual takes turns applying pressure, forcing the pair to constantly turn and adjust direction. As the pursuit continues, differences in endurance begin to show. The calf is gradually pushed farther from shallow refuge, and at that point, the advantage shifts more clearly to the coordinated hunters. Not every gray whale calf makes it through such encounters in the early stages of life. It is a harsh reality, yet also part of the natural cycle. For the orca, some confrontations are not decided by the first surge, but by which side can maintain pressure through the final moments. The humpback whale is often called the singing giant of the ocean. Weighing around 80,000 pounds, with pectoral fins reaching up to 16 feet, it stands as a symbol of immense strength combined with remarkable agility across open waters. Yet, against a disciplined pod of orcas, this great size becomes part of a contest defined by endurance and patience. To challenge such a giant, orcas rarely rely on raw force. They turn the encounter into a test of coordination. The hunting group follows in silence, focusing on the calf traveling alongside its mother. Rather than confronting the powerful fins or tail directly, they repeatedly limit the calf's access to the surface, forcing it to expend energy to maintain its breathing rhythm. The difference lies in observation and the ability to identify vulnerability. From there, the orca employs a refined form of behavioral manipulation. One individual may glide beneath the calf, imitating the familiar support of the mother to draw it away from protection. In a brief moment of confusion, that bond is disrupted. Once the calf is separated, the formation closes in, and the advantage of size no longer holds. The great white shark has long stood as a symbol of solitary power beneath the ocean. A large individual can weigh around 4,000 pounds, with a bite force exceeding 4,000 pounds per square inch and an exceptional ability to detect bioelectric signals. Its presence alone can shift the tension of an entire stretch of water. Yet in regions such as New Zealand, even this hunter can become a target when a pod of orcas enters the scene. Orcas do not rush in impulsively. They approach like a trained formation, using pressure, angles of movement, and precise coordination to push the shark out of its position of control. The most experienced individual delivers a well-timed impact, forcing the shark off its natural axis of balance. Within moments, the shark enters a state known as tonic immobility, a temporary condition that limits its ability to respond. The orca's objective is not only the outcome, but also the most energy-rich portion of the prey, which can account for up to 25% of its body weight. In the open ocean, collective intelligence remains the defining advantage that allows orcas to maintain their position at the top of the marine hierarchy. Sea lions are fast, agile, and constantly alert near the shoreline. Weighing up to around 800 pounds, with powerful front flippers, they are enough to make many rivals hesitate. Yet for the orca, they remain a valuable source of energy, especially when large groups gather near the surface. Beneath the water, as sea lions focus on feeding, a single break in formation is enough for the orca to recognize an opportunity. They do not rush in immediately. Instead, they position themselves deliberately, guiding the prey along a calculated path. At speeds of around 30 miles per hour, the distance closes rapidly. Escape routes begin to narrow. When pressure is applied at the right moment, the advantage quickly shifts to the hunting group. In Patagonia, Where waves and shallow shores shift with each tide, orcas take the hunt to a more daring level. They use the rhythm of the surf to surge toward the water's edge. The target is secured within a very brief moment. Moments later, the orca uses the force of its tail to return to deeper water. This is not just strength. It is timing and precision, where even the smallest miscalculation can change the entire outcome. In polar regions, seals, relatives of sea lions, follow a very different rhythm of life. Weighing around 600 pounds, they spend hours diving beneath frigid waters before returning to drifting ice floes to rest and conserve heat. Yet in the vast ocean, this place of safety can also leave them completely isolated. In Antarctica, once a target is identified, orcas deploy a technique known as wave washing, a remarkable display of collective intelligence. They do not act alone. The pod forms a horizontal line beneath the surface, moving in near-perfect synchronization. When a subtle signal passes through the group, they accelerate together, generating a surge of water with force measured in thousands of pounds, directed straight at the ice. The goal of these waves is not direct impact, but to remove the prey's only stable platform. If the ice does not break, the orcas repeat the process with stronger, more precise waves. Each movement is calculated, steadily pushing the target toward its limit. As the ice tilts and the seal slips back into the water, the formation tightens, leaving little room for escape. For the orca, these waves are not just a hunting strategy, but a skill refined and passed down through generations. On average, an adult orca requires more than 200 pounds of food each day to sustain itself. For a pod of over a dozen individuals, energy demand is a constant presence throughout every journey. This time, the target is dolphins, some of the ocean's most skilled athletes, capable of reaching speeds of around 22 miles per hour and navigating the shifting maze of waves with exceptional agility. Though smaller, dolphins are far from easy to overcome. The encounter truly begins when massive shadows, weighing up to 12,000 pounds, emerge beneath them. Under the guidance of a leading female, the orcas form moving walls, gradually reducing the space available to their target. They do not pursue blindly, but divide their approach, applying pressure from multiple directions and disrupting the dolphin's formation. A single individual falling out of rhythm is enough. A powerful strike, carrying force measured in thousands of pounds, follows, removing balance and control in an instant. This coordination is more than a hunt. It reflects the essential transfer of energy within the ocean's cycle. As the surface returns to calm, the pod continues its long journey, each member playing a vital role in the endless rhythm of survival. Dust rises before the opponent can understand what is approaching. The grizzly bear charges with short bursts of power, overwhelming force, and relentless pressure. Rather than pursuing for long distances, it uses sheer mass to throw its target off balance. When grizzly bear confrontations erupt, every second feels tense and unpredictable. Is there any rival bold enough to stand against the pressure of the wild frontier? Gray wolves are a symbol of pack discipline across the cold valleys of Yellowstone. An adult usually weighs around 120 pounds, yet their true strength doesn't come from any single individual. They move as a coordinated group, communicating through howls, eye contact, and subtle changes in movement. A pack often includes around 10 members, enough to turn an open stretch of snow into a living chessboard of survival. But in the presence of a grizzly bear, every calculation becomes more cautious. The grizzly's massive frame outweighs any single wolf by a wide margin, giving it the power to hold its ground even when surrounded from multiple directions. When the scent of food rises through the snow, the wolves appear along the edge of the clearing. They do not rush forward immediately. Instead, they spread out, test the distance, and study the bear's reaction. In response, the grizzly positions itself in front of the hidden food cache, shifting step by step like a silent warning. During encounters like these, the wolves often circle, increase the pressure, then pull back once the risk outweighs the reward. At times, if the pack is large enough and the formation remains tight, they may force the bear to surrender the area. But across the frozen snowfields, the advantage often belongs to the one that holds its ground the longest. Moose are considered the giants of the deer family across the cold, damp forests of Alaska and Canada. A large bull can weigh around 1,300 pounds, with long legs, a massive frame, and remarkable endurance in the water. Antlers spreading wide like winter branches do more than create an imposing appearance. They also serve as a powerful defense against anything that moves too close. But shallow water can sometimes become a natural trap. When a solitary moose leaves the cover of the forest, a grizzly may follow from a distance, slowly guiding it toward the water's edge. The moose does not panic. It turns suddenly and charges in short bursts, forcing the bear to hesitate and keep its distance. In many encounters, a single aggressive response is enough to make the grizzly back away once the risk becomes greater than the reward. In other situations, however, the focus shifts to a calf traveling beside its mother. The grizzly tests different angles of approach, waiting for the moment the pair becomes separated. When the distance closes to nearly 20 feet, the tension becomes overwhelming. The mother moose responds fiercely, yet even a brief opening can suddenly change the direction of the pursuit through the spray of shallow water. In the wild, maternal instinct is often the final fortress, but survival can still favor the one that remains determined the longest. When North American forests sink into deep cold, grizzly bears do not face winter through strength out in the valleys. They endure it through quiet preparation that begins months earlier. Throughout late summer and autumn, their bodies enter a period of intense feeding. Berries, roots, salmon, and other energy-rich foods become the reserves that carry them through the frozen season. In Alaska, brown bears may consume around 90 pounds of food and gain about 6 pounds of fat each day during favorable conditions. As the snow grows deeper, they move into earthen dens, natural hollows, or sheltered mountain slopes. In that darkness, life slows down. The body goes almost without food or water and moves very little, while heart rate and metabolism drop sharply to preserve every bit of energy. For a mother bear, winter is also a silent test. Cubs are born inside the den, depending entirely on her warmth and milk. When spring opens the den once again, the grizzly returns as a reminder that survival sometimes begins with the most patient kind of silence. Along the edges of North American forests, deer survive through sharp hearing, rapid movement, and constant changes in direction. For males, the antlers that shed and regrow each year stand as a seasonal symbol of strength. But in the wild, agility alone is not always enough. Grizzly bears do not rely on long pursuits. An adult can weigh several hundred pounds, yet still reach speeds of nearly 35 miles per hour over short distances. Once the gap begins to close, that immense weight creates pressure that can easily disrupt a deer's rhythm. When a deer steps out from the cover of trees and crosses open ground, the shifting wind can carry its scent. Damp slopes and fallen trunks narrow the escape route even further. The grizzly does not rush. It uses the terrain carefully, keeps its approach concealed, then suddenly surges forward in the single moment the deer slows down. Early season research in Yellowstone on young hoofed animals such as elk recorded grizzly success rates near 71%, before declining as the young grew larger and more alert. The encounter ends without spectacle, leaving behind only a cold reminder that survival often depends on timing. Before winter blankets Alaska in snow, grizzly bears have only a few short months to build enough energy reserves. When salmon return to the rivers, the cold waterfalls become gathering points of survival. The powerful current forces the fish to leap again and again. And in those brief moments, valuable opportunities open for grizzlies preparing for the long winter ahead. Grizzlies do not choose their positions at random. They stand in narrow sections of the river, where salmon have little room to change direction while fighting through the rushing water. With a single quick catch, a salmon weighing nearly 10 pounds can provide more than 2,000 calories. Salmon eggs, rich in fat, become an especially valuable source of nutrition, helping the bears restore strength and build thick layers of body fat. In shallow waters, mother grizzlies often bring their cubs to observe and learn. The young watch closely as their mother balances against the current, chooses the right angle, and reacts to each fish breaking through the flow. For them, every salmon is more than food. It is an early lesson in patience and timing. At the peak of salmon season, some grizzlies may consume as many as 40 salmon in a single day. As the river gradually grows quiet again, what remains is more than the trace of a hunting season. It becomes the foundation that carries the bears through the long winter ahead. In nature, survival often belongs to those who understand how to make the most of their season. Unlike wolves or lynx, a grizzly bear does not need a pack to claim its place. It lives through strength, territorial memory, and the ability to read scent on trees, soil, and stone. A large male can stand nearly 8 feet tall when upright and move across a home range spanning hundreds of square miles. When that massive shadow passes through the deep forest, the entire woodland seems to hold its breath. In early summer, the breeding season makes territorial boundaries even more tense. The scent of a female, claw marks on tree trunks, and old trails draw males into the same valley. When a stranger enters a market area, the resident appears slowly, shoulders low, but carrying unmistakable pressure. At first, the two simply stand still and observe. Heavy breathing mixes with the scent of wet grass, while the distance between them gradually closes. When neither one chooses to retreat, both rise upright, their shoulders spreading like two living walls. The confrontation erupts through short shoves, forceful grappling, and sheer weight pressing into the grass. There is no needless chaos, only the instinct to dominate and the will to defend territory. The loser is forced to lower its head, move out of the pressure zone, and leave the valley behind. The victor remains, continuing to scent mark, control the pathways, and hold its dominant position. Deep in the forest, power is sometimes decided by endurance rather than anger. In the wild, the lion stands as a powerful predator. But in nature, strength does not always guarantee success. With a single miscalculation, the prey can quickly slip beyond control. In life and death encounters, even a small mistake can lead to failure. So what causes the lion to sometimes pay the price in its own hunt? The oryx is one of the most striking antelopes found in the semi-arid regions of Africa. Its muscular build and remarkable heat endurance allow it to travel many miles across sparse grasslands and thorny scrub. Most distinctive are its horns, reaching about 3 feet in length, straight and sharp like twin spears, always angled forward, turning distance into a key survival advantage. Far out in the dry grass, a few young lions step into a difficult test. They press low to the ground, using scattered brush to conceal their movement, quietly waiting for the right moment to close in. But the oryx detects the unusual presence early. It immediately lowers its center of gravity, turns to face the threat, and points its horns forward to maintain a safe distance. The encounter grows tense as 2 lions attempt to move in from behind, but the situation does not unfold as they expect. Each attempt to get closer is met with short, swift, and highly precise head thrusts. After only a few exchanges, their initial boldness begins to give way to caution. In the wild, not every animal that stands its ground is easily overcome. At times, the greatest lesson for a pursuing predator is knowing its limits before a rushed decision leads to costly consequences. The giraffe is the tallest land animal on Earth, with an adult male standing about 18 feet tall. From that height, it can reach layers of foliage that many other animals cannot, while also watching movement across the savanna from far away. Even its legs measure around 6 feet in length, enough to turn its calm appearance into a remarkably effective defense system. For lions, a healthy adult giraffe is rarely an easy target. The opportunity usually appears only when a calf falls behind, drifts away from the group, or reveals an opening while moving. In fact, the success rate against a full-grown adult is only about 25%. But it can rise to nearly 45% when the target is an isolated calf. Once the pressure closes in, the pace of the encounter changes quickly. A giraffe can burst to about 35 miles per hour over short distances, then pivot with surprising speed to maintain space through precise defensive kicks. Most pursuits end in bitter failure. For lions, this is a lesson that forces the entire group to calculate every step of the approach with care. In nature, Height is not only an advantage for visibility. For the giraffe, it is also a line of survival, where calm control and the right reaction at the right moment can force a predator to hesitate. Across the vast grasslands of Africa, the African buffalo never appears as a fragile presence. Weighing around 1,500 pounds and armed with curved horns like sharpened blades, it stands among the most formidable opponents lions encounter. In the world of hoofed animals, it represents a powerful balance of muscle strength and unyielding resilience. When survival is threatened, buffalo do not scatter in panic. They turn back and form a solid wall of horns. A forward charge, with an impact force estimated at around 3,000 pounds, can launch a predator several feet into the air, instantly turning the advantage into hesitation. What truly unsettles these so-called rulers of the savannah is the unbreakable bond of the herd. At the sound of a single distress call, the group responds at once, shifting the pressure back onto the hunters. Even confident lions are often forced to retreat to higher ground to avoid the intensity of a coordinated defense. Faced with the strength of unity, many hunts end without a clear outcome. In nature, advantage does not always belong to the attacker, but to those that stand together and hold their ground. Across the vast savanna, the African elephant stands out not only for its immense size, but also for its enduring memory and its ability to sense danger early. For this species, survival is not built on strength alone, but on the unity of the herd, where every warning signal can protect the young. An adult can weigh around 12,000 pounds and, over short distances, reach nearly 25 miles per hour. Its flexible trunk, long tusks, and massive body, like a living wall, make it one of the most formidable land animals. Yet African lions rarely choose a direct confrontation. They observe patiently, waiting for a moment when the defensive formation reveals a gap, especially when a mother and calf drift slightly away from the group. Hidden in low grass, the hunting group divides its approach, quietly closing the distance with careful coordination. But the advantage of surprise lasts only for a moment. When the mother detects unusual movement, the situation shifts immediately. She turns to shield her calf within, while pressing forward with powerful steps and forceful swings of her trunk, causing the hunters to hesitate. From a distance, deep, resonant calls spread quickly, drawing other adults together to close the protective circle. As the gap disappears, the lion's advance begins to lose rhythm. The mother and calf are soon covered and move away from danger. In the wild, elephants do not endure simply because of their size. They survive through memory, discipline, and a protective instinct shaped over generations. And at times, it is their unity that becomes the greatest strength of these giants. If lions command the grasslands with speed, power, and coordinated group strategy, the Nile crocodile rules murky waters through silence and ambush. An adult can exceed 16 feet in length, blending almost completely with the river's surface until the final moment. It is especially dangerous at the water's edge, where a single misstep in the mud or a brief lapse in awareness can shift the balance instantly. During a river crossing, a lioness leads her cub through what appears to be shallow, calm water. The surface remains nearly still, then suddenly breaks as a rapid approach rises from below. The mother turns back at once, moving forward with full protective instinct. But the cub's experience is not yet enough to respond in perfect timing within unfamiliar terrain. Even adult lions are never fully certain when hunting near the waterline. Soft mud slows their footing, reducing burst speed, while the crocodile needs only the right moment to launch an ambush, with a bite force estimated at around 3,700 pounds per square inch, enough to force any opponent to retreat quickly to land. At the boundary between water and earth, dominance can shift in an instant. This is not a question of which is stronger. It is a confrontation between two rulers of different worlds. When the environment changes, even the one in control may be forced to step back, simply for being in the wrong place. Along the sediment-rich rivers of Africa, the hippopotamus emerges as a massive body of muscle, with an individual weighing around 4,000 pounds. Its thick skin, wide-opening jaws, and tusks that can exceed 1 foot in length make every rise above the surface feel more like a clear warning than a display. For most of the day, this animal remains submerged in cool water or mud, nearly motionless within the quiet landscape. But that stillness never signals surrender. When 3 male lions move into the waters it controls, the boundary of survival is immediately tested. In an instant, the hippopotamus shifts from calm to forceful dominance, turning the shallow water into its own advantage. A single forward surge, driven by its full weight, is enough to push intruders back from the tightly held territory. Even during the dry season, when it must spend more time on land, that presence does not diminish. With a bite force of around 1,800 pounds per square inch, it reminds any rival that at the edge between water and land, power does not always belong to the hunter. Dust rises across the ground as the hyenas begin tightening the circle around their target. They rely on endurance, powerful jaws, and pressure coming from the entire clan. As the prey loses rhythm, the margin for survival grows smaller. If another predator moves in to compete for the opportunity, the tension escalates immediately. Once the entire hyena clan joins the encounter, who can still hold the advantage? Hyenas are not merely opportunistic scavengers of the grasslands. They are persistent strategists, surviving through coordination, patience, and collective pressure. Weighing around 140 pounds, their clans can grow to dozens of individuals. They communicate through vocal signals, scent marking, and an extraordinary memory for territory. In the wild, survival often belongs to those who know how to unite, wait for the right moment, and turn even the smallest opportunity into the strength of the entire clan. On the exposed plains of the Serengeti, the topi has a little cover to trust. An adult can weigh around 300 pounds and sprint at speeds of up to 50 miles per hour when danger closes in. On the exposed grasslands, sharp vision becomes the first line of defense against even the slightest movement. But midday on the savanna has a way of weakening that advantage. Sunlight pours down, heat shimmers across the air, and every stride begins to drain energy. Downwind, several miles away, a lone hyena follows a fading scent trail. It does not rush forward. Instead, it studies the distance, the direction of movement, and the moment a topi drifts too far from the herd. Dust rolls beneath pounding feet. The topi changes direction again and again, trying to preserve a safe gap. Behind it, the hyena maintains pressure through endurance, stretching the pursuit minute by minute. If more clan members join the chase, the pursuit widens, and every escape route grows narrower. For a young topi, the challenge becomes even greater. The mother pauses, using her horns and steady stance to create a zone of protection around her calf. But when the distance continues shrinking for too long, the balance slowly begins to favor the hyenas. As the wind softens, silence gradually returns to the grasslands. In the Serengeti, survival does not belong to speed alone, but also to endurance and timing. Across the dry ground of the savanna, the rhinoceros stands like a living fortress. A large individual can weigh around 3,000 pounds, carrying a horn nearly 3 feet long and skin thick like a natural shield. But even that strength has its limits. Poor eyesight makes it difficult to detect subtle movement, especially when danger remains still at close range. The hyenas understand this well. They do not choose direct confrontation. Instead, they spread out, change angles of approach, and constantly test reactions. Every movement forces the rhinoceros to turn and reposition in order to keep its calf within a safe zone. This is not a battle of raw power, but a test of patience. With zebras, the rhythm becomes entirely different. An adult can sprint at nearly 40 miles per hour, but speed only matters while the herd maintains formation. From the outer edge of the grasslands, the hyenas wait for one individual to lose rhythm, then take turns applying relentless pressure. And across the savanna, only one harsh lesson remains. Some animals survive by standing firm. Others survive by never losing formation. Buffalo do not need speed to create authority. Weighing around 1,500 pounds, with a solid build and strong curved horns, they are among the most difficult opponents to approach on the savanna. When the herd stands close together, the formation becomes like a living wall, where each individual helps protect the rest. But from a distance, spotted hyenas read the confrontation in a completely different way. They are much smaller, but they do not enter the standoff through individual strength alone. Their advantage lies in numbers, endurance, clan calls, and the ability to coordinate constantly through every approach. As the distance gradually closes, the pace of pressure begins to rise. A few individuals press from the flanks, while others maintain pressure from behind, forcing the buffalo herd to keep shifting its formation. The hyenas do not rush into a direct confrontation. Instead, they patiently test each reaction, searching for the moment when one individual becomes isolated. In well-coordinated hunts, their success rate can reach around 70%. As the circle of pressure tightens, every small opening becomes a test of survival. And across the unforgiving savanna, victory sometimes belongs to those who know how to turn unity into strength. The conflict between lions and hyenas is not merely a struggle over food. It is a contest between individual dominance and the pressure of the pack. An adult male lion can weigh more than 420 pounds, giving it a clear advantage in direct confrontations. But spotted hyenas do not rely on strength alone. They possess remarkable social intelligence, persistence, and a bite force estimated at nearly 1,000 pounds per square inch, making every close encounter a careful calculation. After a lion pride finishes a long hunt, hyenas often emerge from the edges of the grasslands. They do not charge in recklessly. Each individual keeps its distance, spreading out from multiple directions while using repeated calls to divide the attention of their rivals. The tension steadily begins to rise. One moves closer, another circles from the side, and together they create pressure that is difficult to ignore. The lions understand this strategy well. The male may step forward directly, using his size and posture to force the hyenas to slow their advance. Meanwhile, the lionesses hold positions around the food source, coordinating through close spacing, steady movement, and silent signals. Neither side wants to waste too much energy, because on the savanna, every prolonged standoff carries a cost. In the end, victory does not always belong to a single symbol of power. Sometimes the lions maintain control. At other times, the sheer numbers of the hyena clan begin to shift the balance. Across Africa, African wild dogs are masters of speed, discipline, and coordination. Each individual usually weighs only around 70 pounds, yet when the entire pack moves together, they become an astonishingly persistent hunting force. In many recorded observations, their success rate approaches nearly 80%, driven by their ability to anticipate movement and sustain pressure across long distances. But on the savanna, success is never guaranteed. Spotted hyenas often appear as opportunistic rivals, especially after the wild dogs have completed an exhausting chase. Once two or more hyenas move in, the balance of weight, endurance, and boldness begins to change. The wild dogs understand that preserving formation can sometimes matter more than defending the food in front of them. From more than 50 yards away, the hyenas gradually tighten the pressure. They do not rush forward in chaos. Instead, they advance in stages, spreading out while testing the reactions of their rivals. Their rough calls echo across the grasslands, while shifting angles of approach force the wild dogs to reconsider every step backward. If the formation reveals even a small opening, the hyenas immediately gain a psychological advantage. The wild dogs often choose to retreat, conserving energy for the next hunt. In nature, wisdom does not always mean holding on to an immediate victory. For wild dogs, retreat is not defeat. It is strategy saved for another chase. Across the African savanna, leopards and spotted hyenas do not merely share the same territory. They are direct rivals, often competing around food, shade, and control of space. The leopard survives through silence. A large individual can weigh around 150 pounds, but its true advantage lies in climbing trees and keeping its food above the ground. After a successful hunt, a leopard often carries its food high into the branches to avoid drawing the attention of lions and hyenas. At times, that safe point may be more than 20 feet above the ground. But the scent still drifts with the wind, drawing spotted hyenas closer. For the leopard, This is the moment for quick calculation. From several miles away, a hyena can follow scent signals across the grasslands. It does not rush. It moves slowly, circling the base of the tree and watching every reaction from above. If there is only one rival below, the leopard may give a low growl, hold its position, and protect the advantage of height. But when several hyenas appear from different directions, the balance shifts immediately. The leopard often retreats deeper into the canopy or leaves the area to avoid unnecessary risk. In the wild, staying alive can sometimes matter more than keeping a meal. After the hunt, the ocean returns to its familiar calm. But beneath that calm lies a harsh order of survival. The orca stands at the top because it combines power with the intelligence of coordinated teamwork. Each attack is a reminder that nature continues to test every predator. If you want to keep exploring the ocean's most dramatic hunts, be sure to like and subscribe today.